Hello, everyone. How you doing? Happy Friday. If it's Friday for you, if it's not, happy Thursday. You'll be with us soon, I promise. Um, yeah, so thank you for joining us. As you come in, please do us a massive favor, smash the like button. That'll help push the stream out to more people, and we'll get more people in. Coach Stephen, how you doing on this chilly Friday?
Well, happy Health Friday to you. It is Friday here. Lorraine is already saying it's a heat wave where she is, so it shows what's brilliant about doing a sort of global live stream, because you're in snow, or North Japan's in snow. We've got drizzly grey rain, and someone there in a heat wave. So just shows,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, Lorraine, how are you doing? Whereabouts are you experiencing the heat wave? Are you in Victoria or Queensland or somewhere like that in Australia? Okay, and Victor, Suzanne, ready and
Oh, yes.
waiting.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, we've got good timing. Excellent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we got another Lorraine in too. Oh no, Lane. Lane.
Mhm.
How you doing? Thanks for joining us. Queensland.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah, beautiful one day, perfect the next. That's what we say. That's what we say about Queensland.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that was
that.
always the tourism slogan. That
Mm.
that might go back to the 80s.
Yeah, that's a good slogan, though. It made
Yeah.
me think, made me stop and think. It's interesting you saying about people clicking the like button, because I did a live with Jonathan Carnivore Muscle recently, and we promoted it a bit more because I think some of his followers actually really pick up on it. And I think we ended up over sort of the space of a week about 4,000 views. We had over 600 likes, and it makes a big difference if people like it. I think they don't realise,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
free. So
Yeah.
let's do that. On my channel, I've got, I think, about 42,000 subscribers, and we always get about 1,000 views on the live. But the
Mm,
likes are never, the views are good. I'm not
mm,
complaining, but the
mm,
likes
mm,
really
mm.
help, and people don't realize that. So let's get the ratio of likes to views up a little bit.
Yeah.
But that I think it was 1 in 3 views. They actually managed to press the like button, so that was really handy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So please don't hold back. Smash the like button. Smash it once. If you don't like us, smash it 3 times to teach us a lesson. Um, okay, we got Dave. It's great that the US has turned the food pyramid upside down finally. Greetings from Sweden.
Mm.
Yes, yes, indeed it is. Some people are not happy. I've noticed on a few vegan channels they're putting out stuff. They're not happy about it at all, despite the vegetables being up there
Mm.
still. Like the vegetables are on the right side as for them, but yeah, they're not happy about the meat.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wasn't happy about the food pyramid for the last 40 years, so it's their turn.
Right.
They're it.
Right. Yeah.
I did have
So,
Nina
oh,
Tai Chow on my channel
oh
last
yeah.
week.
How did it go?
Well, I mean, I wanted her on mainly to thank her for what she was doing behind the scenes. I was very lucky to be part of that Make America Healthy Again, the
Mm,
meetings and the tireless work she puts in. And she was really handy with a couple of the Substacks, that I wanted to put out. So, yeah, I mean, the general feeling is it's a step in the right direction. And yes, there are some anomalies. And again, I had Sean Baker on yesterday. We were talking about the same thing. It's not consistent if you read the document, then look at the pyramid thing or the triangle or whatever you want to call it.
mm.
But in the end, it's a step in the right direction. And Nina liked the fact I said we tend to look from left to right in images, and steak's the first thing you see: ground beef,
Mm.
chicken,
That's a
cheese.
good point, right?
Mm,
Because yeah, you naturally read that way. So
mm,
yeah.
yeah. So I just think it's all very deliberate. It's all well thought out. But yes, it is flipped upside down. The pyramid is doing a handstand, and it's about time. And yeah, of course, you're not going to please vegans, but nothing pleases vegans, even their own diet. They're always complaining, aren't they? They complain about everything.
Yeah, true. Oh wow. Yeah. So um did you get into any controversial topics while you were talking to her, or
Well, not really, because it's not that controversial. You know, I suppose sidestepping controversy was what the people behind it realised that they needed to do. So they didn't shout from the rooftops about saturated fat. Fat is back, baby, or you know, there's no talk about cholesterol really. So I think we've all been focusing on the positives, and that's what we should do. Because if they'd have, I don't know, made a big statement about saturated fat, that would have been the news. That would have been all over the legacy media. They would have a great way to sort of hit us over the head with that, or so that it was very well done, and big headlines that really should have been, you know, celebrated. Taking children's intake of sugar down from 10% to 2%, huge recommendation, but it doesn't seem to be getting much traction. I think that's one of the best things.
Oh, so speaking along these lines, you know, about people that don't like the new food guidelines and all that kind of thing. I noticed this week there's been a bit of tension going on Twitter or X between Lane Norton and Paul Saladino.
All right.
And it was really interesting. I read a summary of what had been going on from Paul Saladino today, and it was quite interesting. It seems like they'd set up a debate to talk about seed oils. And the moderators of the debate were going to be, I think, Andrew Huberman and Peter Attia. But Andrew Huberman pulled out for whatever reason, right? So it was going to be Paul Saladino against Lane Norton with Peter Attia as the moderator. And I think Paul Saladino pulled out because I think what he said is Lane Norton and Peter Attia are in business together and their product contains seed oils. So like he was saying, well, how can Peter Attia be an independent moderator? I think that's what he was getting at. And I think that's why he pulled out. And it was like all this back and forward all week, like been going off about it, and people have been commenting on it, whatever. And then I saw a comment on one of Lane's posts about it from Dr. Paul Mason. And Dr. Paul Mason replied to him and said something like, so do you have your big boy pants on now, Lane, and are you going to debate me?
Yeah, well, you know, Lane is very rude about people that are reversing their health. I think Kerry from Homestead How did a very good video about how he is a bully. If someone is vegan and they get their health back, I would not call them an idiot because they've got their health back.
Right.
Lane is not honourable. He's not knowledgeable. He doesn't understand things like the difference between glycation and glycosylation. And he's so disingenuous. He was just saying carnivores are idiots. They're idiots. Well, you know, yesterday I've had people consults where, you know, one, I don't want to be too personal, but, you know, they're dealing with cancer, and the cancerous cells in their bone marrow was at 90% whenever I saw him, and they're now down to 8.3%. You know, so that's huge. Well, he's not an idiot, you know, and it's really rude. It's really rude. And if someone is trying to change their health and they're getting the results, they're not idiots. It doesn't matter which way they choose. If that's it. So I don't really like him very much. I don't think he's actually that knowledgeable at all. Sorry.
It always, like, I think I've replied to a few of his tweets. He's never replied to me, but I've replied to a few of his tweets on X, just saying, like, because it's like, whenever he disagrees with someone, like you say, it's just idiot, idiot, idiot. And it's like, you understand this is not an argument. This is just name calling. This is a signal that you don't have an argument.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, and it's just very rude. It's not very scientific what he says. And when you do listen to the science, it's actually not good. He doesn't know what to do, basically. So you know, I would definitely say that he's not someone I would follow or trust. But it's interesting. I didn't know that about the fact that there's seed oils in one of the products that he's pushing.
And don't quote me on that. It was just a post I saw from Paul Saladino, and I kind of just, I didn't read it thoroughly. So, you know, I may be slightly misquoting him, but something, they've got some interest together in a business where there's a seed oil involved somehow.
Yeah.
Like canola or something.
Yeah, canola oil or something like that. Yes. It's just frustrating, isn't it? That he gets so many viewers.
Yeah. George, I happen to be a bit of an idiot who is also a carnivore. That doesn't make all carnivores idiots. How you doing, George?
Yeah,
Yeah,
hello,
Jonathan's
George.
here. Yeah.
We were bigging him up. I don't know if you missed it.
Oh,
Did
what we were talking
big
about
him up
beforehand.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about that. So yeah, last week, Liz from Carnivore Science, although it's not called Carnivore Science anymore, it's called Black Box Warning TV. She put out a video that was talking about all the carnivores that have kind of gone missing. You know, the carnivores that had YouTube channels and they were putting out videos regularly, and then they're just not there anymore. And I thought it was a really interesting video because watching it, it was like, I'd forgotten about that person. I used to watch them all the time. I'd forgotten about this, and you know, I'd forgotten about that. And even more interesting than the video was reading the comments. And I don't remember exactly what it said, but some of the comments that Jonathan, Carnivore Muscle, had put under that video were quite insightful, because I think he mentioned some people that had gone, and I was like, oh, I'd forgotten about them too, you know. So it was really good. Yeah. So yeah, Jonathan watched Liz's video. It was very good. Yeah. Yeah. But I can't, I'll have to go back and have a look at the comments that you left on it, Jonathan. But yeah, it's just a question for everyone who's in the chat. Are there any carnivores that you've kind of noticed that you used to watch that are not around anymore or don't seem to be active anymore? You know, some of the people that Liz had mentioned in her video was Amanda from Carnivorous Me and Chad from Minimalist Carnivore. Yeah. And
I mean, I didn't see the video, but
Mm.
I think it's fascinating for someone to have gone back over people that used to be carnivore and have dropped out of the space. I mean, the thing is, doing YouTube is you know, it's not the easiest thing to do, and you're constantly, you know, berated by the odd person that doesn't think you're doing the right thing. And normally the keyboard warriors are not the nicest people in the world, or they don't frame things in a sort of logical way. So yeah, it's understandable that some people just drop off because they get fed up with it. You know, they just not because they're not carnivore anymore, but they're sharing a journey, a health journey, and the last thing you need is people telling you you're an idiot. You know what we just said.
Right.
I've got one of my most popular videos. I think it's had over 350,000 views. Is a chap called Eric who reversed his kidney function problems. You know, with a meat-based diet, mainly carnivore, but not totally carnivore. Well, you know, we had all the medical records and we had all the facts at our fingertips, and you know, why would someone lie? We're not getting paid. We're not getting paid to do the interview. There was no sort of call to action to buy the supplement he used or anything like that. And I would say, although it's predominantly, you know, 99% of people like it, there's always a comment every week. Oh, this is bullshit or something. Sorry to swear, but that's what they say. Or, you know, don't believe these lies. And I can't believe that there are people commenting out there taking hope away. Why are they taking hope away from people? Why can't they just celebrate that someone is doing well? I wouldn't go on I genuinely can't see the point. I wouldn't go on a vegan YouTube channel where someone has reversed a problem with veganism and go, this is BS, because if they're doing videos and that's what they've done it. Okay, good luck to them.
Yeah. That's the thing. You would never think to go onto a vegan channel and go, I'm going to type nasty comments. No. Why would someone do that?
I don't know. I really don't know. It's so crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got some questions that have come through here. Um,
Should we do them?
So yeah, sorry, I'm just looking for there's a two-parter here. Just one sec. So from Jonathan, the other night I had a fit and my entire room was wrecked. It seems idiopathic.
Mm.
What could be the cause of it?
Oh boy. Well, I mean, there's lots of reasons for a fit. I don't know, Jonathan. You've never mentioned that before. Is this, if it's the first one? I know you're going through some treatment. I mean, maybe I would go back to the healthcare team and say that happened, in case there's some contraindicated thing that you're not aware of. The thing is, I trust Jonathan more than the people that are advising him, to be honest.
Right.
The fits can be caused by many things. I mean, obviously, from my point of view, because of what I do, low blood glucose is one of those things. It's unlikely with that you would wreck your room, but it is possible. Electrolyte, I suppose. Low sodium is I suppose one of those things that's implicated. But it's really difficult. I mean, I don't know, mate. I don't know if you've injured yourself, knocked your head or something. I mean, I did the interview with Sean Baker yesterday or the day before, and he had a great big, gash on his nose where he was working out and he, hit himself. Well, that, I don't know. I doubt that would cause a problem, but maybe something like that. I don't know, Jonathan, bit of scar tissue somewhere causing an issue because it hasn't resolved properly. But I don't know. Lack of sleep. There's many reasons. Many reasons, I think. Possibilities, I would say, actually.
Thank you for your question, Jonathan. From Tanya Bailey, what is your opinion on my approach? Doing carnivore exercise strength training, but I am on the smallest dose of Monjaro as slipped off the wagon so many times. Felt needed help with food noise.
Right, for those that don't know, these are the sort of alleged fat loss jabs. They're just one type. Right, I understand why people do it. I'm not a fan. I can't lie. I don't think they're a long-term good thing. There are associated with long-term use, definitely. You'll get muscle loss, bone loss. One of the ways it works is the motivation to want to enjoy things. That is one of the things, and it also slows down the stomach emptying and the peristalsis of the small intestine. So that's why people are having side effects, where I know you mentioned the smallest dose, and I totally get why you've written that. But anything that does those things, long term is not going to help you. It's better to try and get your relationship with food right in the first place, so you're not reliant on that drug. You feel like the food noise around you is being switched off by it, because exactly what I just said, it takes away your motivation, but it also takes your motivation and enjoyment of not just food, but everything. It shuts down all those pathways. So not for me, but if it's, I can't be hypocritical. If you feel it's working for you, then obviously keep it up. I mean, the carnivore strength training, all that is very good. Well, I would definitely look into how you think about food. That's one of the things that is the key to it, really. So I had somebody the other day, very successful. They did a 3-day fast, really happy with that, and then they went and binged on some, sabotage food, which I can't remember what it was, but let's say it was chocolate or something like that. And I just feel that they were looking at it wrong, because he said, I needed a reward. Well, if you have a reward, it means that the fast you just did was so difficult and such a problem that you need to reward yourself. But he didn't feel like that. He said, I found it actually really easy after day 3. So my way of saying it is, how did you feel after you had the cheat? Well, he didn't like that he had the cheat. He thought that was, bad. So I said to him, well, the thing you should have done is gone for that bad food and then rejected it, and given yourself a huge pat on the back by not only doing the 3-day fast, but also rejecting the thing that's going to sabotage you. And then that's your reward, that smugness, for want of a better word. But that, I mean, that's just for that one particular person. But I would try to talk to people about your whatever it is that's making you fall off the wagon. I would get to the bottom of that. So whether it is you don't have an alternative really nice food to go to, so if you feel that the need for craving, could be under eating. So you feel like you need to eat something. Under eating protein could be one of those things, or it could be, you know, a stressful situation, or it could be a good situation. Like I always use my example of going to the movies. I always wanted, you know, a hot dog and a big Coke. Well, that's nothing to do with hunger. That's to do with the situation, because I taught myself that's what I do. So I think it's just looking at your relationship with food really is the thing that I would get into. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I think the situational thing that rings so true for me, because that is almost 100% of my problem, or was. It's that I had to break out of. It was sitting at the computer after I got home, felt like some kind of empty feeling if I didn't have the glass of wine or didn't have the packet of chips or whatever with me, you know? Yeah,
absolutely.
Getting out of that situational thing. Thank you for your question, Tanya. And just on that point, Coach Stephen, do you have any thoughts? Did you see that the comment that Oprah made on the TV in the last week or something? It was I can't remember exactly what she said, but it was something like obesity causes overeating or something.
Yes, absolutely ridiculous, because there's no joined up thinking. She said you don't get obese by eating food. Obesity makes you eat food. Right. Well, my argument in there is, well, you must have at some point not been obese. So how did you get to be obese in the first place? Well, there's only one answer for that. It doesn't even make sense. But it is one of those things people listen to her. It's also slightly annoying because you've got the fact that she made a ton of money out of Weight Watchers. Well, is she going to give all that money back?
Yeah.
You know, well, of course not. She just makes a lot of money out of this sort of thing, and yes, it's very frustrating.
And the trouble is, because of the format of the show she's on when she does it, like, she's not going to get questioned, or she's not going to get, like, and not until after the fact. And the people that are questioning her after the fact, the ones that are going to be influenced by Oprah aren't listening to them anyway, you know. So yeah, it's pretty bad. So Victor and Suzanne, I'd love to hear you talking about simple carnivore snack ideas. My kids don't like eating big meals, so I end up wanting to snack in between meals.
Okay.
Boiled eggs in the fridge, crispy bacon. I'm very plain though. I'm not very, you know, I don't do anything kind of extravagant. Have you got any kind of more extravagant ideas than eggs and bacon?
Well, I think, yes. I mean, all of these involve a bit of prep, don't they? So what do kids like? I mean, chicken drumsticks would be a good thing. So you could batch cook those, couldn't you? You could have a few of those ready and then put them in the fridge. So there's loads of them. And then over the next couple of days, they could dig into those. Like you say, bacon, I like that as well. Most people like it cooked crispy. So in our fridge, basically, we've got exactly what you said: boiled eggs, definitely. If you handle dairy, if your kids like dairy, then obviously, you know, cheese, which you could cut up in cubes, you know, to make it a little bit more like a sort of snack. I think that's the other thing. We've got to get into the thing that most bad foods are really convenient, hence their name convenience foods, you know.
Right.
A packet of crisps is like easy. So why not get some cheese and cut it into cubes or whatever you want to do. Mason Meats, they do things if you can afford that sort of thing, like the dried meat, beef jerky. I mean, that is premium. I mean, the thing is about the chicken legs, for instance, if you can get heritage chickens or those that have been pastured and allowed to live longer rather than the broiled chickens that you get in, you know, supermarkets, and you can always tell the quality of the chicken by looking at the bone. If the bone is not white and you have bits of pink in it or red, and that's because that chicken has basically been grown super accelerated. and so the bone formation is not great. If you get a heritage chicken, the bone would be absolutely beautiful and white, exactly like you used to see in kids' magazines, comics, where they draw the bone like that and it would be white. So yeah, get a chicken that's older, but there's a bit premium. We're talking about kids here. I don't know about bone broth, maybe bone broth. I don't think most kids would go for that. If you're not being 100% strict, pepperoni, that sort of thing, maybe. What's the other thing called? Pork rinds, people like those, or pork scratchings, as they say here. So there's loads of things, really. But
Make
then
a pizza with a cheese base.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can get into all that sort of more keto type cooking as well, couldn't you? Like you say.
Yeah. Okay. From Jack. For someone diagnosed with fatty liver, what approach on diet has reversed it? How long to see results?
Well, that's a great question. So fatty liver, you can get a lot of liver markers that help you, and normally what's called a FibroScan. So I've seen actual physical improvements, both with markers in the liver, which is ALT, AST, ALP, GTT, and all that sort of things. But you also get FibroScans. Anyway, improvements let's do the reversed bit. So obviously removing sugar, refined carbohydrates, fructose as well, because when you eat anything with fructose, that lowers the concentration of ATP in the liver, because when fructose is metabolized by the liver, as well as alcohol, obviously got to mention that, to make it less dangerous, a phosphate is added to the fructose, and that phosphate comes from adenosine triphosphate. That's where it comes from ATP. So all of your organs need their own energy supply, and ATP is the energy supply. And if the liver is borrowing its own energy to make fructose less damaging by adding a phosphate, then that's not a good sign. So that's when we say the ATP concentration goes down, that's actually what's happening. So yeah, that's what I would do. Whole foods, make sure that you eat enough protein, because obviously you're trying to not only reverse the fatty liver, but make sure that you're having enough structure being built, so there's enough protein there to do that, the right amount of amino acids. We talked about earlier, remove the seed oils. Carbs and seed oils, bread, potatoes, every processed food pretty much on the planet now has rapeseed oil or canola oil or some sort of oil in it. And then you'll see results. So results 3 to 6 months, I think. That's off the top of my head. That's very vague, by the way. But with the bloods, 4 to 4 weeks. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a couple of people. Well, I've seen good results in 4 weeks, definitely up to 12 weeks. You'll see it in the bloods, definitely. And if you keep on this track, after 6 months, you'll be able to come and do a success story for us.
And speaking of that, Jack, if you want to see some interviews with people who have reversed fatty liver, I've got maybe about 6, 7, maybe a few more interviews on my channel with people that have reversed it. So please send me an email at realzerocarb@gmail.com and I'll shoot them out to you. Thank you for your question. FX Trader, is eating twice a day better on carnivore than OMAD in your experience?
Again, this is very dependent on the situation you're in, because if you're looking to lose a lot of weight, then OMAD, eating once a day and therefore fasting for 23, 24 hours, tends to be the most impactful way of eating, because you are fasting, you've got low levels of insulin, and you're making your body use the stored fat to give you the energy. That's the whole point of body fat, isn't it? To actually make you have enough energy. It's food for later on. If you're looking to gain muscle, or you're looking to fix thyroid, for instance, eating twice a day tends to be better. And I think for females, even eating 3 times a day, and actually muscle building 3 times a day. So twice a day can work if your situation is, for instance, you're skipping breakfast, but you eat about midday, but you also want to eat with your family in the evening. That works. if you can get enough food in, because some people struggle to get enough food in with 1 meal a day. So they can eat the same volume of food, but over two meals, and that might be better. If you're having trouble with fat absorption, there's no one size fits all. That's the thing I'd like to get across to everybody. It is down to what works for you, not what some influencer has said.
Yeah. And I mean, even for me, who regularly does OMAD, I kind of I just go with what my body's telling me. So if it gets to, like, I don't know, early afternoon or something, and I'm feeling hungry again, I'll just eat. So I think it should just be a thing that you kind of let happen naturally, really. Yeah. Kind of that's actually what I think one of the transition points into carnivore should be. Transition in eating the same regularity that you do, prior to carnivore, whether that be 3 meals a day or whatever, and see how you feel, and then kind of adjust to MAD or OMAD from there. Yeah. But thank you very much for your question, FX Trader. From Mr. Beaumont, please could you explain the physiology behind the juxtaposition of being obese yet malnourished?
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's picking up on my terminology, because this is a big thing that I talk about. Because I see with diabetics, for instance, that I used to deal with on a face-to-face basis, I would often say to them, "You're malnourished," and then they'd sort of jokingly look down and go, "Yeah, look at the size of me," and I'd say, "Yeah, you're actually malnourished for the things you need, and you've overeaten the things that you don't need." And
Right.
it's a really vicious circle. So if you look at when people say, "Well, carbs are energy," okay, well, these people tend to eat a lot of carbs, and yet they don't have energy, and those carbs have become body fat. But people say body fat is energy, so why are they malnourished? Well, they can't tap into the body fat because of the carbs. Promotes high insulin.
Right.
High insulin stops the fat being liberated, so they're constantly hungry, and you have this terrible cycle of eating the wrong things. That's the first thing. Secondly, eating lots of carbohydrates, which elicits a huge insulin response. The body fat is being piled on, and it can't be liberated. So, yes, it is paradoxical, or juxtaposition. They said, sorry, but yes, it is really weird, isn't it? So, the easiest way to fix this is to stop stuffing carbohydrates into your system. Therefore, you're spiking your insulin. That stops. Therefore, your body fat can be liberated, which means you can get the food from the body fat, which is what you want to do. And that will mean you won't be hungry. Also, I think most of these people tend to undereat protein. That's the other thing. And there is the thing called the protein leverage hypothesis. It's difficult to prove, but that's where the body knows it needs protein. You're not giving it enough protein, so it drives you to eat more until you get the protein that you need, which I think is a great theory. I'm not sure if it actually works like that, but that is also something to consider, that you should be eating enough protein.
Wow. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Beaumont.
Wow, you said that's interesting.
Wow.
What was wow about that? Is a very basic answer.
I like talking about fat being liberated. I think that's like it can't be liberated in the presence of insulin. I like that. It's a nice simple way of explaining the process.
Yeah, sorry to do this, but the textbook, the medical textbook that doctors have, well, they don't now because it's all paid for by the pharmaceuticals, but I used to use this when people came in to lose fat for the body, personal training. And I'd always take them to these highlighted sections, which literally says, without any insulin in your system or low insulin, you will burn fat. And I'd say to them, you can book loads of sessions for me to work out with you, but that's not going to make you lose weight. That's going to get you fitter and more, it's more beneficial to exercise than not, which definitely helps, by the way, with diabetes, for instance, because you translocate the GLUT4 without food being involved. It's because you're contracting muscles, so that makes you uptake more glucose. But if you look at that book, it's so simple. That's how you liberate fat. You don't have lots of insulin around. It's really that simple.
So, like it's a known thing, but just people don't pay attention to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's it. Yes. The more insulin you have in the system, the less likely you are to burn fat.
Yeah. But I do think that book should be called How to Be Taller, though, because you can like put it on the ground and stand on it, you know.
Yes. I like it.
It's a little step. I say that having noticed recently, there's a lot of ads popping up on Facebook for like these inserts you put in your shoes to be a taller person.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Agent 99, do you think sprouting mitigates any negatives of plants or makes them more bioavailable?
I don't really know enough about this, really. I mean, it seems to be an accepted fact, doesn't it? But people that do it still have all the problems. So I don't think it's eliminating. I don't think it's eliminating all the anti-nutrients. I think that would be my way of looking at it. Maybe this is something I could do a Substack about. Really, I don't have any studies to mind, but it's often promoted, isn't it? Because I had Sally Norton talking about this recently. I had a thing with her, and it does remove some oxalate, she believes, but not a lot. So I think it's mildly beneficial, but I would say it's probably overhyped. I don't like saying without sort of all the studies and the proof of it, but yeah, I mean, I would trust what she says, really. And another thing that's pushed is the bioavailability. It makes what you're eating more bioavailable. But yeah, but compared to what? I don't like to nick Bart and Eddie's phrase, but compared to what, on the basis of what, compared to who, or something like that. They say, it makes it more bioavailable compared to those that aren't sprouted. But if you compare it to animal foods, it's still not very bioavailable. So I think it's overblown, to be honest.
Sprout your own animals instead. When I think of the word sprout, the only thing that comes to mind is like, remember when the wheatgrass craze took off in the early 90s or something? And like everywhere was using wheatgrass, and like people are sprouting wheatgrass on the windowsills and stuff. And it's like, that was the worst tasting thing ever.
Yeah.
It was like, and what was it going to give you? Like loads of chlorophyll. That's all that we were going to get.
I
know. From George, following recent training, I have to come up with a personal mission statement to educate, encourage, empower, inspire, motivate, and organize. Any comment or feedback? Grandma's written a song about it.
Who's grandma? Well, his grandma. Anyway, right. Well, yes. I mean, obviously, I think knowledge is power, without a shadow of a doubt. If you, the more you learn, although I would say the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. That's what I've found, definitely. Encouragement, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. That's a really good one to put in, because we all need encouragement. I mean, I go to the gym. I'm up 5 o'clock. I was there this morning, 6 o'clock. And I got text from my wife, 6:20. It's great that you're out there at the gym. It's brilliant. And those little bits of encouragement just make you think, oh, what I'm doing is noticed, and, it's good. So empowerment, well, I think knowledge empowers people. I think if you've got a following or a community that are helping you, like right now, you get people coming on and asking questions. They empower you as an individual, for me. So it's nice to see that people bother to tune in. I'm always humbled by it. I think it's fantastic to have some nice comments. And, if you can empower somebody else to take their life back, it's not altruistic, because you get something out of it. If I help somebody to get off their diabetic meds, I feel great. I sleep well at night, to be honest, because of it. If you're inspiring, I mean, Dave, you're inspiring. You do it every single day. You put out a success story video. Every person that you have on is inspiring. They're sharing their story. They're real people that had problems and sorted it. So that's a good one. Motivation is good. I mean, the why that makes you cry is one of my favorite phrases, because sometimes you lose sight of why you're doing this. So common ones that stick in my mind is, I want to see my grandkids. You know, I want to look after my wife. I don't want to die first. I just want to be a good father. You know, so anything that makes you motivated, it could be less fantastic than that. It could be you want to look good on the beach. I don't think that's a problem. You know, I just want to get in clothes that I used to fit in 5 years ago. All of those things, even though some people say, well, that's just vanity. It's not. It's actually looking after yourself and being bothered about your presentation. And organize is an interesting one, because all this is all well and good, but if you can't get your act together, so like that person asking about their kids, you've got to be organized to have those things in your fridge, you know, to do the things that you've got to do. I mean, I'm not the greatest organizer of the world, so I use a lot of post-it notes. So there's a post-it note, World Carnivore Month, just to remind me to talk about World Carnivore Month. I showed Lee Copus this yesterday, that I just have a few post-it notes around me, because I've got to be organized, and sometimes I forget. Sometimes I can't read my own writing. That's from Sean's thing there. If you can read that, it says 6 pillars of health. He actually said 6 pillars of health is what he likes to promote. So I'm organized that way. I need little things when I do this, because I can't remember everything. So I will look around in case there's a thing that we want to mention in particular. So yeah, that's a brilliant thing to write. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things, 6 golden rules. I would try and think of a catchphrase for it to encapsulate that you only need to do 6 things. If you do, you know, maybe teaching you to suck eggs, George, but you could do a great video. You only need to do these 6 things to get yourself back on the track, you know, or back to health. And I think, it's good thing.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I like that idea of having, like, just in case you only need to do these 6 things, and it's not going to cost you anything. It won't cost you anything, and you've just got to take 6 steps. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Heidi B. Mary. Can Coach Stephen get a buy me a coffee link? I won't use PayPal, and they're real. Love you both. Thank you for what you do. Do you have a buy me a coffee link, Coach Stephen?
Yeah, just cut and pasted it and put it in the chat. Thank you.
Okay.
So they can click on it on the chat, Heidi. That's great.
Awesome.
Yeah. Can you see it, Dave, or not?
Yeah, I just saw it. I just checked it. Just went down and checked. Yeah, it's come through. Cool bananas. Okay. But if anyone on my channel, if you can't, I can see it in the chat, like through StreamYard, but if you can't see it on my channel, let us know, and I'll send it through. Yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm just scanning up and down here. Where did that one go?
Dr. Volk, you got Dr. Volk.
That's it.
Or something.
That's it.
I knew that's what you were looking for.
Any idea why I get carb cravings after a large carnivore meal after 5 years on strict carnivore, mainly OMAD? Don't have them while fasting. Ooh.
That's very interesting. Okay. Yeah. Well, it could be something we alluded to. Sorry, you've moved it. You delete them very quickly. I was reading them in your bit there, but now I need it over there. Anyway, 5 years. So mainly OMAD. Well, if you're OMAD, we talked about this earlier. You could be. Thank you very much. You put it back now. So other bit.
Sorry, I just realised what you were talking about there.
Yeah. Well, after 5 years, that's quite interesting. So have you fallen into undereating? Because OMAD can cause you to undereat, so you still feel hungry. Not sure if you talk about feeling hungry, you talk about cravings, but let's talk about that in a way. So you can curb cravings by making sure that you eat enough. That's the first thing. Secondly, are you eating a lot of lean meat? Because a lot of protein in one go will get some form of insulin response. So that again will go back into cutting off the liberation of fat, and that can make you feel, oh, I really need a dessert, I really need something. So maybe this is OMAD not working for you. And that's the other thing I would say is we need to constantly evolve. So when we first go carnivore, we get all these brilliant, things that happen. We lose a lot of water weight. We start to have less anxiety. We sleep better, all of that. But maybe after 5 years, I was OMAD. I don't know OMAD very much anymore. I tend to do 2 meals a day because that works better for me. So especially if you're doing a large OMAD, thank you for putting that back. It's easier to read from there. You're going to get a significant insulin response in comparison to maybe a fatty meal. And you will get all those other things that we talk about, like incretin hormones. So the GLP-1 works on the fact that we know that if you infuse somebody with glucose, for instance, directly into the veins, you won't get an insulin response. But if you eat the same amount of glucose, once it hits the brush barrier of your small intestine, you get what's called an incretin response, of which GLP-1 is one of those things. And it's really high. So if you're eating a lot in one go, you will get that response, and you will get a bigger insulin response than maybe you imagine. So that's going to, again, change how your body has been, responding to food. You're changing the signals. You're saying there's a lot of incoming food, but you still get those cravings because you've stopped the fat utilization. The body isn't like, now we're eating, everything else switch off. It all works in tandem. You need a certain amount of energy to be able to metabolize protein. Again, this is CCK. It signals to the pancreas to bump up the blood glucose to be able to give you the energy to metabolize the protein. Sorry, it's a bit long-winded, but it's physiology of of how you eat. And so therefore your body might be saying, oh, we need to increase blood glucose, so we're going to have some carbs. We need some carbs quickly. We need lots of carbs. And I think it could just be down to the fact that it's OMAD, and maybe I would try eating twice a day and just see if that sorts it out. Could be situational, if you're eating somewhere where you used to eat and then you'd have a dessert, it could be your mind going back to, oh, I remember I had that, and then I also had a dessert. So it's also just making sure it's not other triggers.
Yeah, that's situational thing again.
Yeah, there's a lot going. Yeah, there's a lot going on there in that one thing.
So from Pfizer, hello, could you please explain the allulose metabolism in regard to lowering blood glucose and impact on microbiome?
Yeah, right. So obviously this person, I'm assuming, is using allulose as an artificial sweetener or a sweetener, which is, I suppose, natural actually, because you find it in figs, don't you? And I think in Britain it's raisins. Anyway, yes. So I mean, it is very sweet. That's one of the things. And it's mostly absorbed in the small intestine. I don't like anything like this. I think if you anything that's got the sweet taste will give you a cephalic response. So that's the first thing. But anyway, so you're asking about the gut microbiome. Oh, it does say lowering blood glucose. All right. Okay. So yes. So you get a cephalic response, which is your brain expecting sweet. All right. And then also you have it on your tongue and it's like, oh, that is sweet. So your pancreas will preload because you get a biphasic response from the pancreas. So you've got some granules of insulin already. They'll get released and then you'll get another burst of insulin. So that will lower your blood glucose, even though you put something sweet in your body. But it is exceptionally sweet, isn't it? Compared to not having any sweeteners. So that would definitely lower the blood glucose because you're eliciting an insulin response. I think that might be just because you know it's going to be sweet and you taste the sweet. So that's the first thing. So then the gut microbiome, because most of it is absorbed in the small intestine, that's going to be fermented by the gut bacteria. So you're using it as a prebiotic, but I don't really like it. I mean, the reason why it's a big deal is because people like Nick Norwitz do Substacks on it and say it's better than all the other sort of artificial sweeteners or sweeteners that you add rather than sort of cane sugar. But that again goes back to comparing it to not having it. No, it's better to not have it in the first place. So yes, it's better than sugar if you're using any sort of artificial sweetener, but it is still a sweetener. And I wouldn't use it if I would try and get away from the sweetness, to be honest. But anyway, that's how it works. It's because of the absorption in the small intestine, you can get gut microbiome fermenting it a bit. So yeah, it's a prebiotic in that respect.
Thank you for your question, Pfizer.
Yeah, that's a good question.
And from Mr. Beaumont, what are the ratios roughly that arterial calcifications are made of, cholesterol, LDL, etc.?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah. And, one of the things that Dr. Malcolm Kendrick says in his book, The Clot Thickens, is he talks about the makeup of plaques, and he talks about glycophorin A being present, which very rarely is in the literature, but it is present. And that sort of supports the thrombotic theory of plaque progression rather than the lipid heart theory, because glycophorin A is only found on the surface of red blood cells, which is why I know about it, because that's how we know. Anyway, right, let's answer the question. So I'll answer the question, but I would say this question doesn't include glycophorin A, because in most of the literature, they don't mention it. But if you look at Dr. Paul Mason, who you mentioned earlier, he does definitely mention it, and so does Malcolm Kendrick. But the mainstream thinking is something like 40% of the plaque, the calcifications, and not going to be surprised as soon as you hear it, about 40% is calcium. And we know that that's important because what is a CAC? Coronary artery calcium scan. So we know that. So I call that nature's stent. Sorry, I'm just putting my heater on. I'm in Britain, and state-controlled Britain is very cold, but we can't put the heating on all the time because it's so expensive. So yes, so that my 639 score when I was high carb, believing in all that, I realize that now is a calcium stent. So 40% of that, and then you've got fibrous tissue, which can be tested. So we all know, I think, fibrinogen, and fibrin is the thing that's in the platelets that make the clotting factors and all that. So we know that is in the plaque. So that's a collagen sort of fibrous tissue sort of thing, and I think that's about 30%. So what else we want? So what are the ratios? Oh, right. So yeah. So now we've got 40% and 30%. So that's about 70%. But I think the fibrous tissue can be more than that. So if it doesn't all add up, I'm very sorry. Less than 10% is a lipid. So when we talk about LDL being the main thing, it isn't. So we've got 40, 30, 70, so about 80%. And then you've got, and this is the thing again that Malcolm Kendrick mentions, this is the big thing, cholesterol crystals. But they don't come from LDL. That's not possible. Physiologically, that is not possible that a cholesterol crystal will come from LDL. So that's about 10%. So we've got 40, 30, 10, 10. 70, 80, 90. So the rest is things like inflammatory cells and debris, just general debris from the death of cells. So sort of trash, really. But yeah, it's an interesting thing, because this is why I mentioned about glycophorin A, because I think that should be in that list, but I don't know what the percentage is, but we do know it's present. But anyway, I hope my maths worked out. I'm sure people watching will be adding up and say, well, that's 110%. But these are all rough anyway.
Nice. It's like the fact that the lipids actually make up such a small percentage of it. It's like, how have they been able to pull the wool over our eyes for so long that that's the cause? It just doesn't make sense that it would be the cause.
Yes, because there's so much money involved and people don't want to believe it. And, Professor Vladimir Sabutin, who I definitely think you should all look up, he's done staining of LDL, staining macrophages. He's looked at the progression of atherosclerotic plaques and calcifications. And he's pretty much proved that the mainstream is talking about it out of its rear end with images, under the microscope of looking at it actually progressing in arteries. He's also proved, anyway, I don't want to get into that. Sounds like a rant, but you're absolutely right. I mean, they're really that's why it's still called the lipid heart hypothesis, because it's not proven at all.
Yeah, like the answer's in the name. It's like it's a theory, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, which started in 1913 by feeding a rabbit cholesterol dissolved in seed oils. Well, if you
Which,
feed a rabbit,
as we know, that's typically what rabbits eat, right?
well, absolutely, yeah, that's their natural diet, which is why they picked it. And then they worried why, well, it got sick, didn't it? Obviously, cholesterol is really bad. They have repeated that, by the way, recently. And they did a control group of rabbits just fed cholesterol, and rabbits fed cholesterol dissolved in seed oils. And only the ones in seed oils got the plaques, which I thought was really interesting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I think again, I don't want to, it's not the Dr. Paul Mason show, but, I think he's done a low carb down under thing about that. I think could be him.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. The low carb down under that I actually went to in 2023, he was so popular they got him to do 3 separate talks.
Yeah, well, he's very good, isn't he? He's very good.
Yeah.
I'd love to have the contact details for him, because I'd like to get him on the channel and talk about bloods, because I think we'd have a lot in common.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got Dr. David Unwin coming on in February, and we're going to talk about his bloods and his findings on thyroid, because it seems to match my my conclusions.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, well, we've done an hour, haven't we?
Yeah. So yeah, we thank you very much to everyone for coming in and asking questions and sharing comments and being with us for the last hour.
Yeah, it's been great.
Really appreciate you joining us. And we will be back with you same bat time, same bat channel next week. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Can I encourage people to smash, as you say, the like button? Because
smash that like button.
When Jonathan and I did it, it was very strange how many people did it. So, even if you're watching on the playback, not watching live right now, do that, because it definitely helps. It's really helped me. My subscriber numbers this month have doubled. If you look at on a month-by-month basis, just since January, which has been really interesting actually for me to see that. So I'd like to get my subscribers up, and definitely what's happening is I'm definitely doing replies to people, because I try to reply to every comment, and YouTube are deleting replies. So just make sure, that you do as much as you can to make sure that YouTube know that I do reply, and I tend to like and heart every single comment, and unless it's a horrible one, which doesn't happen that much. But I don't like the fact we're being shadow banned. So I think just make sure you are subscribed, to make sure, that if you liked it, that you press like. And obviously, if you disliked it, press dislike. I mean, that's fine. It helps.
No, if you dislike it, press like 3 times, and that'll really teach us a lesson.
I like that.
Cheers, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. And before we finish up,
okay.
Just thank you very much for the super chat, SMH Cast. Just because it's a super chat, I'll show that. Despite all efforts to eliminate all plant life from the human diet, coffee remains the ultimate holdout. How do we finally conquer that diabolical bean water? Must be destroyed. You have to take it slowly. My experience, you got to take it slowly. I've found it easier to cordon off parts of the day. So I don't drink coffee after 12 p.m. So as long as I'm giving myself permission to continue to drink it, but just like after midday, no more, then that seems to be working for me. But I know the pain.
Yeah, and I promote this fatty latte, which is sort of a hot drink alternative to coffee, which has helped many people, not everybody. And also there's espresso, but the fatty latte is 100 milliliters of water, 35 grams of butter, 2 egg yolks, pinch of salt, a little bit of vanilla, and you just blitz it up, and it is a beautifully hot hot drink replacement for coffee, which might help you. But I also think what you said, Dave, about having strategies for it, reducing the amount gradually as well. So if you're a 6 cups a day person, try and do, 5 cups a day, 4 cups, just move it down and down and down. Smaller actual cups as well. And eventually you will be able to eliminate it. I mean, yeah, it's a tough one. It is a tough one.
Yeah, especially when you've given up so much else, it's hard to also turn off the coffee.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for the super chat. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone, and we will see you again same time next week. Cheers, guys. See you.